What's going on, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to another episode of Open Game State. Today we're going to be talking about some news stuff. I'm a little late because I'm recording this video late in the night, so I'm going to just have to upload this video the following day on the 15th instead of where I would ideally like to upload it on the 14th. But Salmon Great updated deck profile went up today, so if you haven't seen that and you're interested, up in the top right there should be a little card you could click or some sort of annotation at the end if you want to see my updated build of Salmon Great. First things first, we're going to take a look at the OCG ban list. Now, I don't get too excited about OCG ban lists. I know a lot of people do, that they think that, like, oh, this is what our ban list is going to look like. They're going to address all the same problems in our ban list that we're probably going to be getting here within maybe next 2-3 weeks or so. It's rarely ever the case that happens. It's just nice though to look at their list sort of a potential, because most of the decks over there are sort of the same decks that we have. It's just interesting to see how they address the problems over there and what crazy cards they end up bringing back, and also be sort of like a template, a sort of a skewed template potentially of what our ban list could look like, what problems could be addressed, etc, etc. And obviously seeing here Forbidden, Nightmare Mermaid, and Gandora X the Dragon of Demolition. That's obviously to stunt that FTK that they have. Nightmare Mermaid obviously going for the Orcus stuff that is spreading like wildfire into every deck that sort of contains it into its own archetype, which makes more sense to me. I like when things are splashable, but not to a certain extent where every single deck is trying to, like, how can I put the Orcus combo into this deck? How can I put the Orcus combo into this deck? Blah, 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 etc, etc. It kind of makes things less interesting, because then every deck on the planet essentially is trying to Orcus combo because of how easy it is to get into. And, you know, Mermaid is essentially to blame for that. Obviously, Gandora X going for the FTK. And then limited here, we have Salmon Great Gazelle. Now, I think that the OCG has had Salmon Greats longer than we have. So the deck's been dominating for quite a while, longer than ours has had a chance to. So it makes sense to me that this card has gone to 1. I don't think it is going to go to 1 on the next list. I think that would be with Lady Debug going in the past list. I don't think they're just going to, you know, chop the deck with Gazelle going to 1. They might hit Salmon Great in some way, but I just don't know if they're going to. They might give the deck a little bit more time. Maybe the next list we could see a little bit of, you know, a slap on the wrist to Salmon Great again. And I believe it was this deck and Sky Strikers that were in the final. And I think either the UK Nats or the German Nats. I'm not entirely sure which one it was. I can't remember. Goldfish memory sometimes. But these two decks were in the final, Salmon Great and Sky Striker. So could that be a reason that they get hit? I don't think so. I think this one event is a little too much to sort of you know, get this conclusion from. Same thing with the Colossus. I know Thunder Dragons won YCS Knoxville, but it was just one YCS in their first YCS at that, so I don't think we'll see a direct hit to Thunder Dragon. We saw the Phantom Sky Blaster, so I don't think we'll see a direct hit. And they hit Thunder Dragon Hawk to 1, which is really interesting to me. I don't know why, of all the Thunder Dragon monsters, why this one, I don't know. It's just interesting that they would hit Thunder Dragon Hawk. Maybe some of you can tell me in the comments as to why they chose this one specifically. Was it used in some sort of combo, etc, etc? I don't know. I must be out of the loop. Lady Debug going to 1, that already happened here. Like I said, if Salmon Great gets hit any more in this next list, it'll be very subtle. It might be Gazelle going to 2. It might be like a card like Circle going to 2, or Sunlight Wolf going to 2. I'm not entirely sure. It'll be something small, if at all. Then we have Metaverse. This is obviously to contain the Mystic Mining, you know, I don't even know how to put it, spread. You know, it's so potent. It's one field spell, but it is such a potent strategy that they're deciding to address it on the ban list. And I honestly hope this is something that happens here. I might just be salty, I might be bad, but I absolutely despise Mystic Mine. I think the format's pretty alright, except Mystic Mine. It's one of those cards that I feel like ruins the format entirely, just because of how sacky it is, and especially when you take into account a card like Metaverse. Now, easy Metaverse makes it to spring that card on your opponent, and when you already have a card like Set Rotation, albeit still at 1. You know, adding 3 Metaverse to that sort of equation makes it much, much more potent, because springing on your opponent during their turn, mid-combo, is almost a game ender in every situation. So hopefully they do address the Mystic Mind like they have here in the OCG by Metaverse. I don't think they'll hit Terraforming again. I think that's a bit unfair. Maybe they'll hit Mystic Mind itself. I don't know. ABC Buster Dragon, Spiral Quick Fix. I think these cards were coming back to 2. I don't know if they were still at 3. Maybe ABC. Well, ABC really hasn't been hit, so it's not really a worry for our list, just because ABC hasn't been doing much, so this is one of the things that isn't going to apply. Spiral could get some more support back. Dark Arm to 2. This could be interesting for our list. I think Greffer and Dark Arm could both come back on our list. Will it happen? Who knows? Anchor Top's going to 2. I don't think that will happen in our list at all. It's just a really good side deck card. I don't think it's too, you know, ban list worthy, whether it be 1 or 2 or 0 at all. I think that's crazy. Librarian, I think we already have at 3. I don't know what this is coming from. Cyberstarn, Trish going to 2. I hope that happens. Trish has been locked up at 1 for a while on our list. Necroz Cycle, okay. Again, things that are a bit different than our list because of formats and how different they are from TCG to OCG. Mystic Mind to 2. I hope TCG Konami takes a little page out of their book for this one. I wouldn't mind this card going to 2. Just make it less consistent, I think, is what the goal should be. So it's more of a gimmicky strategy than an actually, like, solid strategy that can be, you know, played in events and do well. Because this card is just not fun to deal with at all. It's not healthy, in my opinion anyways. I just do not like it being in the game, you know, especially with how accessible all the cards are, with how many, you know, we have Mystic Mind at 3, you have Metaverse at 3, set rotation still illegal, double terraforming, so many ways to get to this card. And same thing with Extravagance, like that's another draw engine used in Potted Duality, etc., etc. Not saying that those should be hit, but it's just an example to show you how you know, accessible Mystic Mind is, and so hopefully they address that in some way, shape, or form. Elemental Hero Stratos going to 3. I think Stratos could possibly go to 2 with a new hero support coming, so I don't know if it'll go to 3 directly. If from a 1 to 3 jump, that very rarely happens in the TCG. I think it's usually a step up from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3, if that is ever the case. Dynamite Knuckle. This card would definitely help out True Draco, but True Draco has been getting so many good Floodgate cards. You know, just name one, Crackdown. Like, it's such a good card. I don't know if they need any other support. Maybe bring this card to 2. I don't know. What do you guys think? Totally awesome. Knowledge, Judgment, Ceasefire, etc., etc. Cards that really don't apply to the OC or TCG too much. So that's it for that. Moving on. Some interesting news here. Rising Rampage Rarities confirmed. At least some of the secret rares here. Some of the secret rares have been confirmed here for the Rising Rampage. Fortune Lady Every, secret rare Orochi the Serpentine Sky, secret rare Marincess Coral Anemone, secret rare Witchcrafter Golem Aruru, secret rare Apollousa, Bow of the Goddess secret rare, which I believe is like Light and Darkness Dragon in Link form, so that's going to be just great to deal with. And borreload X-Charge Dragon, which I don't think is that great of a card, but as you can see here, there's the pack. The winds of change are blowing in Rising Rampage, the first 100 card booster set of the 2019 to 2020 dueling season. Look at all these cards here. Some nice rarities confirmed. I'm so looking forward to the Marincess Coral Anemone. Going to be awesome in the Mermail strategies. You know, as far as the Marincess archetype, this is one of those cards that I think will fit perfectly in Mermail. As for the other ones, I'm not too sure. We have confirmed support coming for the special editions of Rising Rampage from the following set after this, so more Marincess stuff as well as Salmon Great support too, which I believe I addressed in a previous open game state. If you haven't seen that one, feel free to check it out. Might also be annotated at the end. But really nice to see that we have some confirmed rarities. I didn't think this card would be a secret rare. I'm actually kind of surprised that it is, but it's a new archetype. It's one of the better cards for this archetype, so I'm really not surprised 100% that it is a secret rare. So hopefully it's just not that expensive, because that'd be a little disappointing. And then the last thing I want to talk about, Structure Deck Revolver. Just some reprints getting announced here. Nothing too huge. We obviously have the new Borreload Fusion, but Borreload Dragon and Triple Burst Dragon. Triple Burst first reprint coming in this structure deck. Some other cards here getting confirmed, which is nice to see some confirmations. I always love confirmations. It's nice. Doesn't leave us speculating what rarities might be. So it's nice to see triple burst, and of course borreload getting another reprint. I'm down with it. I hope you guys are as well. All right, so winter from the future here. It's the following day, but I figured I'd add this into this video because it's some important news. We actually have the Marincess monsters that we talked about, that we knew were gonna get released in the following set after Rising Rampage Chaos Impact. We didn't know what they were, but now we know what they are. We know what they are. There's apparently 9 new Marincess monsters, and yeah, I've seen these before, but they weren't like confirmed cards. They're just from like the TV show, I guess, or whatever. But we actually have them confirmed now for Chaos Impact. So the first one here we have is Marincess Mandarin. Level 1 water cyberse effect monster, 100 attack, 100 defense. You can only use this card's name effect once per turn. If you control 2 or more Marincess monsters and this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 water link monster you control. Special summon this card from your hand or graveyard to your zone that monster points to, but banish it when it leaves the field. Now, if this card was a tuner, that would actually be pretty awesome. It also says you need to control 2 or more Marincess monsters to begin with, which I guess is fine. After all, this stuff isn't supposed to be good with Mermail. It's for its own archetype. And this sort of plays into sort of how Marincess plays. I believe just opening the 1 Marincess monster is like a full way to get into the Link 3 Marincess, so it's a very good like link climbing deck and of its own self, so this could definitely help for that cause. And then the other one here we have here is Marincess Crown Tail. Level 5 water cyberse effect monster, 600 attack, 2300 defense. You can only use this card's name and set first and second effects once per turn each. During damage calculation, when 2 monsters are battled, you can send 1 other Marincess monster from your hand to the graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand, and if you do have the damage you would take from the battle, at the start of the damage step, when your opponent's monster is attacked, you can banish this card from your graveyard. For the rest of this turn, you do not take any damage. That is less than 1,000 times the combined link rating of the Marincess link monster in your graveyard. Okay. That's an interesting way to block damage. If it was just a guaranteed blocking of all damage, it'd probably be a little bit better, but it's a little situational, I guess. So it's not the greatest for these first 2 cards. And again, I don't have too much experience like playing just pure Marincess, so I don't know how good I mean, a card like Mandarin could be as for the deck strategy. This card doesn't seem that great for, I mean, it just really blocks damage for the most part. Then the other card we have here is Blue Tang. Level 4 water cyberse effect monster, 1500 attack and 1200 defense. Also, one thing to keep in mind, all of these other monsters are targets for an enemy to revive, which is good. That's kind of what they should be, right? Marincess should, or an enemy should have plenty of targets for these monsters, since it is going to be the secret rare, probably going to be one of the main focus points of the archetype strategy. But basically, you can only use this card's first and second effects once per turn each. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send a Marincess monster from your deck to the graveyard except itself. So that's actually pretty good. Being able to foolish any Marincess definitely seems like a good effect to have for this deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a water link monster, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and you can add 1 excavated Marincess card to your hand, shuffle the others back into the deck. So this card actually seems like one of the best cards that I've seen so far for Marincess. It's a foolish burial, and you also get to basically excavate the top 3 cards of the deck, grab a Marincess monster if it's there. If not, shuffle the other cards into the deck. That is really, really good. It reminds me of a Salmon Great Foxy or Pot of Duality for Marincess, so that's nice that we have this card. It's got nice stats too. Level 4, doesn't hurt there to have those good stats. Then here we have another Link monster, another Link 2, Marincess Crystal Heart. So now we have 2 Link 2s for the archetype. And here we have a attack 0, links bottom left and bottom right, as you usually expect for most Link 2s. Materials 2 water monsters. So this is a generic water link monster. So this could be interesting. It says while this card is in the extra monster zone, is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. An opponent's monster that battles this card is unaffected by card effects except its own during the damage step only. When this card or a Marincess monster you control, this card or a Marincess monster this card points to is selected for an attack, you can send one Marincess monster from your hand to the graveyard. Your battling monster cannot be destroyed by this battle. Also, you take no battle damage from this battle. Okay. So for just generic water support, this card really doesn't do too much. I mean, whilst in the extra monster zone, it's unaffected by card effects, which is pretty great, but it also has 0 attack and really doesn't do too much, and you'd rather just make a Lacey or a Starboy. But for the Marincess strategy, this could be come in handy, especially for that third effect there, being able to send a Marincess monster from your hand to the graveyard. As you know, this card here seems to do graveyard stuff with battle or blocking damage in certain ways. Then we have a Link 4. Marincess Wonderheart, Link 4, Water Cyberse, Link effect, attack 2400, links left, bottom, right, and right. So it's got the same arrows as borreload and Avermax. Materials 2+ water monsters. Okay. Once per damage calculation, when this card is battling a monster, you can special summon one Marincess monster card equipped to this card. And if you do, this card cannot be destroyed by this battle. Also, you take no damage from this battle. During the end phase, equip the special summon monster to this card. Okay. If this card is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon one Link 3 or lower Marincess monster from your graveyard. Alright, that's not bad. This card definitely proves to be pretty promising in pure Marincess, I would say. Just because you can reborn any Marincess from the grave when it dies. Other than that, I mean, it does have the effect to be able to summon a Marincess monster from the deck. Or, so, wait, once... Am I reading this right? When this card is battling a monster, you can special summon one Marincess monster card equipped to this card. So how are you equipping? How are you equipping things? Am I missing something? Have we read something earlier? Maybe we haven't gotten it. There's 9 cards. Maybe we haven't gotten there yet. Alright? Alright, so now we have a Link 1, Marincess Sea Angel. Link 1, Water Cyberse Link monster. It says 1000 attack. Link left. Material 1 level 4 or lower Marincess monster. You can only link summon one Marincess Sea Angel per turn. If this card is link summon, you can add one Marincess spell from your deck to your hand. Ooh, nice. Searching out spells isn't too bad. Then here we have the Marincess Battle Ocean. Field spell. Field spells, oh man, they can be pretty good sometimes. Let's see. Marincess monsters you control gain 200 attack, and they also gain 600 attack for each equipped Marincess card. Marincess monsters you control in the extra monster zone that were linked summoned using Marincess Crystal Heart as material are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. And when you link summon a Marincess link monster to the extra monster zone, you can activate this effect. And the third effect, when you link summon a Marincess link monster to the extra monster zone, you can activate this effect. Choose up to 3 Marincess link monsters with different names in your graveyard and equip them to that link summon monster. Okay, so this is how you would trigger the effect of the Link 4 here, is by having the field spell up when you go into it. Because yeah, you'd place it in the extra monster zone, activate the effect, choose up to 3 Marincess link monsters with different names in your graveyard, and equip them to this link summon monster. So, basic, like the one standard combo with one of the other I can't remember the name of it. It's one of the Marincess monsters that was already announced. Basically, you normal it, you special the other link one that we have. That one like adds it back. You make the link 2. That effect adds it back. Summon again, make the link 3. So like you're already loading your grave up pretty easily with link monsters from just basic combos with this deck. So the field spell, I feel like this effect could easily be live turn 1, especially now that we have a link 4. I was thinking we're gonna get a link 4 because a lot of the card text on some of the first cards we got kind of hinted at the fact that we would have a higher rating link monster for this archetype, and we finally do. And this card really does play into that strategy as well, to be able to just equip them all to this card. And then this effect allows you to special summon one of those Marincess cards that is equipped to it for even more damage, it looks like. It says once per damage calc, you can do that effect. And then it says Marincess Snow here, normal trap. You can only activate a card with this card's name once per turn. If a Marincess link monster controls destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one of those monsters, link summon one Marincess link monster from your extra deck with a lower link rating than that monster as long as you control it. It is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. And as long as you control it, it is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. Okay, that's not bad. It is a bit situational. It's got to be set. You've got to have that link monster be destroyed by either battle or card effect. And and then you get to summon out a Marincess Link monster with lower rating than that card that was destroyed. So that's actually not too bad. It could be a decent trap to spring on your opponent. Definitely not going to be expecting it. And then the last card we have here is the Marincess Cascade normal trap. If you control a Link 3 or higher Marincess monster, you can activate this card from your hand. Banish any number of Marincess Link monsters you control until your next standby phase, then target one face-up monster on the field. That monster gains attack equal to the Link rating of the monster's banished attack with its effect time 300. Alright, that seems okay. I don't know how much this card will be played. It doesn't seem like it's that great. You do have to pretty much banish a lot of stuff in your field to boost something up by a significant amount, but it could be helpful in some situations to get over big monsters, because a lot of these cards don't seem like they have that high of attack. The Link 4 only has 2400, this thing's got 0. These things all have very low stats as well, besides this Link 4 here, which I think is probably the best card that we've seen amongst these other cards here. The field spell is very nice as well amongst these other cards here. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the rest of this video here. Just wanted to go ahead and add this in. I figured it important to show you guys the new Marincess cards that have been announced. So far, none of these cards really seem like they would fit too well into the Mermail strategy unless you went really hard and tried to play like a really big Marincess engine in there. I've not done any testing with any of the other main deck Marincess monsters, so I couldn't tell you how much you know, they'd make a difference in there with more cards. I might just be sticking with an enemy for the most part, but if you're going to be playing pure Marincess, good news, you've got tons of awesome new cards to work with. So hopefully they were what the strategy is actually looking for, and more, to make the deck playable and enjoyable and things like that. So yeah, that's going to be it for this. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. And yeah, as always, you guys want to kill, sign out. We'll see you in the next one.